We've been on a breathtaking Nile River cruise with Viking, where we've dived into 5,000 years of history, literally surrounded by pyramids, temples, and a sunrise hot air balloon ride over the Valley of the Kings, because why not start your day 1,500 feet in the air? Along the way, we saw ships christened, friendly locals, bustling markets, and of course, indulged in some of the most delicious Egyptian food we've ever tasted. Ancient wonders, modern luxury, and a touch of adventure. What more could you ask for in a vlog? So, grab your sense of adventure and maybe some sunscreen. Let's cruise into history together. Just recently, we had the privilege of attending an extraordinary event. The naming ceremony of not one, but two of Viking's newest ships, the Viking Sobek and the Viking Hapthor, both designed and custom-built to grace the iconic waters of the world's longest river, the Nile in Egypt. Viking have a large presence on the Nile. By the end of 2026, they'll have 10 ships sailing there, so this video will give you a pretty good idea of what it's like to sail with Viking, including some of the fabulous things you'll see on your itinerary. Although this trip was shorter than a conventional Nile cruise, we crammed a lot of the itinerary in and have distilled the experience down to a best of. We also got to do the things that were so special they will live with us for the rest of our lives. Stick around and find out what we got up to. Let's go! Joining our small, excited group of British invitees, we left London's November chill and were on our merry way to Cairo's warm, golden sunsets, catching an early Sunday morning flight from Heathrow. Touching down in Egypt's bustling capital as nightfall cloaked the city, we made our way to our luxurious base for the next 2 nights, the Nile Ritz Carlton. Formerly the Nile Hilton, it reopened in 2015 under the Ritz-Carlton brand and boasts stunning views of both the Nile and Tahrir Square. The hotel didn't just meet expectations, it swanned right past them, and our river-facing room was the kind of place that makes you want to unpack properly, just to feel fancy. Welcome to our room in the Ritz-Carlton, Cairo. And oh my goodness, we've got a river view. How gorgeous is that? With bags hastily stashed and curiosity fully engaged, we headed down for dinner. So tonight we have a buffet dinner. Oh, doesn't that look good? Oh my goodness, Helen, there's a pizza there. Oh my, there's a lot of good stuff here. Right, where do I begin? After indulging in a spread fit for royalty, and possibly a pharaoh, the day ended on a literal sweet note, dessert that could convert even the staunchest chocoholic skeptic. After that, drinks followed outside in the hotel's sprawling veranda, as we got to know our fellow guests and speculated as to what tomorrow's first full day would bring. The next morning, bright and painfully early, we were ready for action. After a quick briefing, we were met by our guides for the week, a duo so knowledgeable they might have personally advised Ramesses II, and we boarded our plush Viking-branded coach. The first stop, the Pyramids of Giza, because if you're going to tick things off your bucket list, you might as well start with the big ones. Tickets in hand, we hopped off the coach and gathered for a quick intro from our guide Sherry. With the Pyramids of Giza towering behind her, she gave us the lowdown on these monumental marvels. Fun fact, the Great Pyramid of Giza is the only surviving wonder of the ancient world, and it was the tallest man-made structure on Earth for over 3,800 years. After Sherry's rundown, we had some free time to soak it all in, because when you're staring at a 4,500-year-old engineering triumph, a bit of awe seems mandatory. Next up, a change of perspective and a camel ride for those feeling adventurous. Having previously experienced the wobbly chaos of camel transport, I've already come to the conclusion that I am not Lawrence of Arabia, I am Richard of Britain. So we decided to stay on solid ground and observe the action from afar and take some extremely cliched touristy snaps. I mean, if you didn't do this, how can you prove you were here? With everyone safely reassembled, it was time to head to another icon of ancient Egypt a few minutes' drive away, the Great Sphinx. A mere 20 metres tall, this enigmatic guardian has been weathering the desert winds for millennia. Did you know the Sphinx might have originally sported a beard? It's true. Fragments of it are in the British Museum, although in 2025, if you stole someone's beard, you'd be made to give it back. Just saying. After a quick stop for the requisite Sphinx selfies, lunch was calling, and it didn't disappoint. We dined at the historic Mina House Hotel, where the buffet was as spectacular as the panoramic pyramid views. The Mina House Hotel is a historic gem. Originally built in 1869 as a royal hunting lodge, it was converted into a luxurious hotel in 1886. Over the years, the Mina House has hosted an impressive roster of famous guests, including world leaders, royalty and celebrities. But there was no time to linger over dessert. We had plenty more things to experience in a packed afternoon. Well, here we are. Just had some lunch. We're at the Grand Egyptian Museum, which isn't properly open yet. This state-of-the-art facility, located just 2 kilometres from the pyramids, is an awesome sight. It's officially the largest museum in the world, and we've got an exclusive view. How fantastic is that? The Grand Egyptian Museum, or GEM for short, is a stunning fusion of ancient inspiration and modern design. Pyramid motifs dominate both its exterior and interior, while the world's only hanging obelisk adds an innovative twist to its grand entrance. In the soaring Grand Hall, visitors are greeted by a colossal statue of Ramesses II, a reminder that Egypt has never been shy about making a big first impression. Spanning an awe-inspiring 490,000 square metres, the museum is set to house over 100,000 artefacts, including the complete Tutankhamun collection, many items making their public debut. In addition to its 12 meticulously curated exhibition halls, our favourite area was the magnificent Grand Staircase Gallery. With over 60 remarkable artefacts on display, it offers a choice. Glide up the escalators while marvelling at ancient treasures, or stroll among them on the sweeping staircase leading to the main galleries. During our visit in November 2024, the museum had only recently opened its doors, granting access to its Grand Hall, Grand Staircase and main galleries. However, the much-anticipated Tutankhamun exhibits and Khufu's Boats Museum are still in the wings, although we managed a brief stop at the Old Egyptian Museum later in the day to glimpse Tutankhamun's treasures one last time before their move. Conveniently, it's located opposite the Nile Ritz Carlton. Yay! After a quick freshen up and just enough time to marvel at another ancient golden artefact, the setting sun, it was time to dive into an evening tour. The agenda? A vibrant, chaotic and utterly enchanting cultural immersion into Cairo's nightlife with a visit to the legendary Khalili market, a place that overwhelms all your senses in the best possible way. Khalili isn't just a market. It's a time capsule wrapped in centuries of history and something that's remained a constant over those centuries. Bustling, jostling chaos. Established in 1382 as a caravanserai, a roadside inn for traders, it has evolved into one of Cairo's most iconic bazaars. Back in its heyday, it was a hotspot for merchants from Africa, Asia and Europe, a place where goods, gossip and cultures were exchanged. Today, it's a labyrinth of narrow alleys, intricate arches and ancient buildings, offering everything from glittering lanterns to heady spices. Navigating it feels like stepping into an Indiana Jones movie, but with a soundtrack of haggling and the occasional whiff of fresh falafel. We capped off the night with a deliciously authentic Egyptian dinner at a local eatery. As we tucked into plates of koshari and perfectly grilled meats, we couldn't help but agree. This was the kind of day that travel dreams are made of. So, you're a globetrotter, a digital nomad, or maybe just someone who's tired of overpriced overseas roaming charges. Meet Saily, the eSIM service that's here to revolutionise the way you stay connected abroad. What's an eSIM, you ask? Well, it's like your regular SIM card, but without the card. With Saily, all you need is your phone. No fumbling with tiny plastic chips at airport kiosks, and no awkward conversations with SIM card sellers in languages you don't speak. Developed and launched in 2024 by the same cybersecurity geniuses behind NordVPN, who we've been subscribed to for years, Saily combines ease, affordability and security in one powerful app. So here's how simple it is. Download the Saily app on iOS or Android, browse through their ridiculously flexible data plans, pick your plan, activate it in seconds, and voila, you're online. And to make it even more fabulous, get an exclusive 15% discount on Saily eSIM plans by using the code VISITWITHUS at the checkout. Now, Saily works in over 150 countries, and it's a data-only service, so use WhatsApp, FaceTime or whatever app you love to chat on instead of traditional calls and SMS. And because Saily is built by Nord Security, you get the following features too: virtual location, ad blocking, and web protection. Saily lets you purchase and activate a plan in advance or instantly, even while you're en route to your destination, so you'll never be too late to get connected. As long as your phone supports eSIM, and most modern smartphones do, you'll be good to go. And if in doubt, Saily's app will check it for you. Just download it, launch it, and it will tell you if you're not compatible. Saily doesn't lock you into contracts. You only pay for what you need. So whether you're beach hopping in Bali, interrailing across Europe, or just a day of Beatlemania in Liverpool, you're in control. Saily is the eSIM made for modern travellers. Hassle-free, affordable, and backed by the experts in online security. And that's why we recommend them. So download the app now on iOS or Android, and don't forget to use our exclusive 15% discount code when you purchase a plan. Enter Visit With Us at checkout, and you're good to go. Well, good morning from Cairo. And, today we're getting a chartered flight to Luxor. And an absolutely busy day. It felt like we've been here for days, isn't it, Helen?
It's been action-packed, hasn't it? But we've got the naming ceremony this afternoon.
Is it this afternoon?
Yes.
Or this evening. Way. Yeah. My goodness. Yeah. And we're going to go to Cairo Airport. We've got a plane waiting for us, haven't we?
Yeah.
So for the short hop to Luxor. Let's go. Well, the flight came in the form of something I hadn't expected in 2024. A plane with propellers. Yes, actual spinny, bladey things. Like something straight out of, another Indiana Jones movie. It was a first for us. While I didn't feel entirely at home on such a small plane, the flight was only an hour or so long, manageable even for my reluctant inner vintage aviator self. To distract myself, I became utterly mesmerised by the simple joys of technology. My phone's shutter speed almost perfectly synced with the propeller's revolutions, creating that surreal effect that I'm sure only I found fascinating. And if you're rolling your eyes right now, you're not alone. Helen's were too. And the pièce de résistance? Watching the engine switch into reverse on landing. Call me a nerd, but I challenge anyone to say that this isn't at least a little bit cool to watch. Ah, Luxor, it was good to be back. After a quick coach ride, we arrived at the banks of the Nile, where our home for the next 3 nights awaited.
We are here. Woohoo! Look at that.
The luxurious Viking Sobek, gleaming in all her freshly polished glory, docked alongside her identical twin, the Viking Hapthor, the two ships staring each other in the face and looking like they were absolutely ready for the evening's festivities.
Here we are. What absolutely stunning ships. Absolutely stunning. Thank you. Wow.
Now, it didn't take us long to get our priorities in order. Lunch with new friends Tom and Kirsten.
Cheers. First ever burger served to a guest on this Viking ship. Bon appetit.
Despite lively chat, we couldn't lunch all afternoon because we only had a couple of hours to settle in and recharge for the evening's events. Want all the juicy details about the ship's accommodations, dining and public spaces? Well, stick around till the end of this video. There's a link for that, and trust me, we recommend you click on it. As the sun set behind the Valley of the Kings, drenching the Nile in gold and crimson, we made our way to the dockside for the christening. Well, good evening from Luxor in Egypt. We're going to see the naming of these two ships, Viking Hathor and the Viking Sobek. Just waiting for our party to come up, but I snuck up just to get a view. Oh, there's a drone in the sky. That's not me, I promise. It's the stage in the middle. The stage is set, as they say. Welcome to the naming ceremony. Let the festivities begin.
Cheers.
In a perfectly Egyptian twist, a few four-legged VIPs, that's very inquisitive paws, decided to make an appearance. Sacred symbols in ancient Egypt, these uninvited feline guests brought a touch of authenticity and a lot of Instagram potential. Well, if only they would keep still.
Well, welcome everybody. I think I just use the opportunity to express some thanks for this the wonderful ships that have been delivered.
The ceremony was a blend of elegance and drama. Two magnums of bubbly were heroically smashed in the name of good maritime fortune, while Norwegian soprano Sissel, the godmother of Viking Jupiter, delivered a performance so stunning it could shatter glass, or at least the illusion that anyone else had a better voice. But, sorry Sissel, the true showstopper came next. Dinner in a venue so breathtaking we were momentarily speechless. Where? Well, let's just say it was a dining experience fit for a pharaoh and well worth the suspense. Come and see.
Right, we've had the ceremony, which was fabulous, and now we are, this bit is quite unbelievable. We're going to the Karnak temple, which is the largest temple in the world, for evening dinner. It's going to be quite stunning, and I am super excited. I don't know where Helen is. Oh, here she comes. She comes with a entourage of people.
That is incredible. That is incredible. I'm lost for words, aren't you, hon?
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
Absolutely lost for words. Saying the Karnak temple complex is big is like saying the Sahara's a bit sandy or the Nile is a bit damp. As one of the largest and most majestic religious sites ever built, it served as a spiritual and political powerhouse for more than 2,000 years, with over 30 pharaohs leaving their mark. And tonight, this awe-inspiring space was the backdrop to our dining room. Well, here's our table number 6. How fabulous is that? Here it is, the Viking dinner menu. As the stars glittered above and ancient columns cast shadows in the soft glow of the evening lights, we couldn't help but feel like we were part of history itself.
Welcome to Karnak Temple. You are now sitting in the largest religious temple in the world. It was built around 2,000 years before Christ, and it was only completed an incredible 2,000 years later, which is what I call forward planning.
A harpist played, and then Sissel's voice swept softly through the columns and statues of this ancient venue as we enjoyed every single second. It was a true once-in-a-lifetime moment.
Step into my heart.
At this point of the evening, I half expected James Bond to dash across the stage being chased by Jaws. Yes, that famous scene from The Spy Who Loved Me was filmed here.
Built with you in mind.
But all good things must come to an end, so we reluctantly made our way back to Viking Sobek, wrapping up one of the most unforgettable evenings of our lives. Dinner in a 4,000-year-old temple? Just another casual Tuesday evening in Egypt.
You'd think it would be impossible to top such a magical evening, but at 4 a.m. the next morning we gave it our best shot, with a sunrise hot air balloon ride over the Valley of the Kings on the west bank of the Nile. And let me tell you, the weather was as cooperative as an ancient scribe, delivering yet another pinch me is this real moment to treasure forever.
I've got to be straight with you, dear viewer. I'm not a huge fan of balloons, so Helen went with the tour party while I stayed on the ship and filmed them from across the Nile.
Taking a hot air balloon ride in Luxor isn't just an optional excursion, it's a truly magical experience. As our balloon drifted gently over the timeless landscape, the sun rose like a golden brushstroke across the Nile Valley, illuminating the treasures below in a way that no museum spotlight ever could. It's a perspective so breathtakingly panoramic, it's almost as if the gods themselves are showing off. And to cap it all off, our balloon captain, Captain Mohammed, landed us with such gentle precision that even the pharaohs would have applauded. What a way to start the day.
Breakfast was full of excited recollection of the experience, which I dismissed as hot air. See what I did there? And some mild banter aimed at my decision to stay on board. Soon our attention was, thankfully, directed towards the next monumental experience of the day, the Valley of the Kings, this time from ground level.
Welcome to the Valley of the Kings. And this is the shopping area you have to walk through to get to the entrance. And it's always a bit of fun. It's really quiet today, actually.
The Valley of the Kings isn't just an archaeological site, it's the ancient world's ultimate burial showdown, where pharaohs competed to outdo each other, even in death. Stark, barren and unassuming, the valley is flanked by imposing desert cliffs in a location so remote it practically shouts, "Tomb Raiders, don't even think about it." Spoiler alert, they thought about it, and often succeeded. The sacred necropolis was the final resting place for pharaohs and nobles of the New Kingdom, circa 1550 to 1070 BC, with over 60 tombs carved into its limestone cliffs. During our visit, we explored 3 of these timeless vaults, the tombs of Ramesses III, Ramesses IX, and Ramesses IV. While their names didn't win points for originality, their final resting places were nothing short of jaw-dropping. Each tomb is a treasure trove of vibrant murals, intricate carvings, and hieroglyphics that bring Egyptian mythology to life. Despite thousands of years, the colours remain dazzling, a testament to the ancient Egyptians' mastery of art and their belief in leaving an impression that lasts for an eternity.
Ramesses IX. Here we go. Thank you, sir. Thank you. We are entering the tomb of Ramesses IX.
Of course, no visit to the valley would be complete without stopping at tomb number 62, the infamous resting place of Tutankhamun.
Here we go. Down into the tomb of Tutankhamun. It's quite steep to get into. And all these tombs are quite claustrophobic. And here he is. He's in here somewhere. He's just here.
Discovered by Howard Carter on November the 4th, 1922, nearly 102 years to the day of our visit. Sharing the experience with the Carnarvon family, direct descendants of Lord Carnarvon, who funded Carter's expedition, made it even more surreal and special. It was Carnarvon who stood beside Carter during that legendary moment when he first peered inside the tomb's antechamber and, upon being asked what he could see, uttered those famous words, "Yes, wonderful things." As the desert heat began to rise, we made our way back to the ship for some scenic sailing from Luxor to Kenna. After hanging out with a 3,300-year-old pharaoh, what a better way to cool off than a breezy cruise down the Nile? It's probably what King Tut would have wanted, or at least what we needed. But first up, lunch at the lovely Aquavit Terrace, and just look at our table. This is not an expensive ad agency giving you exaggerated scenes of carefully staged perfection. This is actually what you get. This is real. Onto the menu. What would you choose? Here's what I had. Soon we were disembarking on one of the prettiest landing stages of the whole river, heading for one of the most impressive locations on any Nile cruise itinerary. Kenna is a vibrant town in Upper Egypt about 60 kilometres north of Luxor and sits snugly in the fertile Nile Valley, flanked by desert on both sides. With agriculture thriving here, it's no surprise the town feels like an oasis of green amidst all that sand. But for tourists, the real draw lies in some of Egypt's most remarkable archaeological sites situated around here, like the Temple of Dendera, our afternoon destination. The spectacular temple is a must-see, dedicated to Hathor, the goddess of love, music, beauty and motherhood. Often depicted as a cow or a woman with cow ears, and more importantly, she also lent her name to one of the Viking ships we were here to celebrate. I'm sure she would have approved. Dendera's hypostyle hall, 24 massive columns topped with Hathor-headed capitals, seem to gaze down at you approvingly. Look up and the intricately decorated ceiling reveals stunning astronomical scenes. Another highlight, a walk through the narrow decorated corridors and staircases that wind up to the extraordinary roof complex. From the top, you're treated to panoramic views of the surrounding area. Up here, small chapels await, including one with a replica of the famous Zodiac of Dendera, a detailed celestial map and one of the most important artifacts in ancient Egypt. The original, however, packed its bags long ago and now resides in the Louvre in Paris, after French colonisers nicked it in 1820. Naughty Parisians. After soaking in the history and views, we returned to the ship to be greeted with a refreshing shot of fruit juice, just the thing after a day of exploring. Dinner on the beautiful Aquavit Terrace again was a triumph of classics. Caesar salad, followed by Chateaubriand and creme brulee to finish. And then celebratory cocktails on the roof as we sailed past the Valley of the Kings. Ooh, this is the Nile, Viking style. Esna is a charming little town in Upper Egypt, about 55 kilometres south of Luxor. Nestled along the Nile, it offers a refreshingly laid-back atmosphere, a world away from the hustle of Luxor and Aswan. While Esna Temple steals the spotlight, we started our day with a wander through the lively local market. This vibrant hub is a sensory overload of colourful stalls, fragrant spices, and the constant babble of bartering tradesmen. Pro tip: saying no thank you once will never suffice, but it's all part of the fun. Once we'd soaked up the market's energy, did our best to avoid eye contact with the most insistent of traders, and possibly haggled over something we didn't really need, we headed to the Temple of Esna, a fascinating relic dedicated to Khnum, the ram-headed god of creation. The temple is an archaeological oddity, sitting 9 metres below current street level thanks to centuries of sediment accumulation. The hypostyle hall here is the showstopper, with 24 massive sandstone columns topped with intricately carved floral and palm leaf capitals. The roof art will take your breath away, showcasing the ancient Egyptians' fascination with the cosmos. Intricately carved and vividly painted, the ceiling is adorned with astronomical symbols and zodiac designs. You'll spot figures like Nut, the goddess of the sky, probably not pronounced Nut, arching protectively across the ceiling. The artwork reflects the Egyptians' advanced understanding of astronomy and their belief in the cosmic order's influence on earthly life. The walls, covered in detailed reliefs and texts, reads like an ancient manual for worship, complete with hymns, rituals and offerings to the gods. Remarkably, and because of it being completely buried under the town for so long, much of the colour and detail has survived the millennia, making it one of the best preserved examples of ancient ceiling and wall art. This temple is my favourite of all the temples in Egypt. Esna is also famous for its navigational lock on the Nile, a vital piece of engineering that lets boats bypass a small dam. Watching cruise ships and feluccas squeeze through the locks is strangely captivating. Even better and more fun are the friendly and mildly cheeky locals who row right up to the ships in small boats, selling their wares directly to the passengers. It's essentially Amazon Prime, Ancient Egypt edition, complete with sellers literally throwing their goods at you. Well, remarkably similar to some of the Amazon delivery drivers around our way. After a whirlwind few days, our final afternoon on board gave us a much-needed breather, a leisurely sail along the Nile. We made full use of the top decks, basking in the views and indulging in the light refreshments thoughtfully laid out by the crew. The highlight? Gliding past the Viking Hapthor, the sister ship we'd been celebrating with all week. I hope those on board were having as good a time as we were. For the more inquisitive among us, the lounge offered a lecture on ancient Egyptian medical practices. Because who wouldn't want to learn how to cure a headache 3,000 years ago? Spoiler, honey and herbs were the paracetamol of the day. As the sun dipped low, we pulled back into Luxor, savouring one last evening on board before our early departure the next morning. A Nile river cruise is such an extraordinary adventure, and the things you see and do are like nothing on Earth. And you can say you've sailed on the world's longest river, which is pretty cool. For a more detailed look at the Viking Sobek, including accommodation types, dining experiences and public areas, please watch this next, and you'll probably agree, Viking are bossing the Nile like no other. Thank you.